If you're considering quitting smoking weed, or you've already quit for a little bit, but you're not sure if you made the right decision, this video should help you out. If you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I own an addiction recovery coaching company where we help people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. The first question you should be asking yourself, and the question that I had to ask myself when I was quitting smoking weed, was why? What are your reasons for wanting to quit smoking weed? Why do you want to quit? And really take some time to think about this. Is it because this has become an addiction and it's damaged your relationships? Are you suffering health consequences such as cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome? Has it damaged your motivation? Has it damaged your day-to-day energy levels? Are you feeling fatigued and drained all the time? Maybe you're just spending too much money on it and financially it's hitting you where it hurts. You have to come up with your own reasons, but you have to have reasons as to why you're going to quit smoking weed. Now, on the flip side of that conversation, I think you really do have to play devil's advocate. Ask yourself, why do you smoke weed? Why do you smoke? And I think a lot of people are going to find that they either have some degree of benefit from smoking weed or that there's some degree of perceived benefit to smoking weed. Now, for those people who actually benefit from weed, maybe you have an autoimmune condition like rheumatoid arthritis or lupus, and the weed helps with pain relief and pain control. Maybe you suffer from depression and anxiety. And maybe, we're going to backtrack on this one in a minute, but maybe the weed really does help with the depression and the anxiety. Maybe you have ADHD and you and your doctor determined that medical marijuana would be a better alternative for you than the amphetamine-based ADHD medications, Ritalin, Adderall, things like that. So why do you smoke weed? What are the benefits that you perceive? Maybe you just like getting high. Maybe you like the high. Maybe you feel that it helps you relieve stress. And now, when you make this decision to quit, you have to sit down and you have to look at these two lists and you have to figure out what's true about the reasons why you want to quit and the reasons why you continue to smoke weed. And what I mean by that is this. If you're saying you smoke weed to help with the depression, but you're depressed because you're in a bad financial situation and you're spending a lot of money on weed, well, suddenly maybe weed isn't all that great for the depression. If you say that you smoke weed because you have anxiety and it helps with the anxiety, but then a reason why you want to quit is because the weed has made you, demotivated and you're not working out anymore and you're not taking care of your nutrition and that's causing you more anxiety, then you got to look at that and say, well, okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe weed isn't helping my anxiety out anymore. Now, what about for the other people who have and I think this is great because if you've already quit smoking weed and you need a reason to keep going, you can always go back to your list of reasons why you've quit smoking weed to remind yourself. Now, what about people who have quit and they're saying, you know what, I think I'm going to go back to it? I think there is one justification for this, for going back to it. Okay? And just hear me out on this. This person determined that after giving sobriety a legitimate chance, so like they quit for 3 months, they quit for 6 months, they quit for a year, and they put in the work. They took care of themselves better physically and mentally. Maybe they went to talk therapy, they regulated their sleep, they regulated their nutrition, they're exercising. And after a year, they say, you know what? I'm more depressed, I'm more anxious, I just don't feel good. I have more pain. My body hurts more. My quality of life is worse off without weed. They saw no improvements and they really tried. This might be the person who considers going back to using cannabis. Now, how they use it may change. Maybe they'll cut back the amount they were using. Maybe they won't use it recreationally, but they'll truly try and only use it from a medicinal standpoint. This person may sit down and determine that the advantages of smoking weed outweigh any potential disadvantages. Or someone may consider smoking weed again at some point in their life, and they'll look and they'll say, damn, the disadvantages of weed greatly outweighed any advantages I was seeing. And I'm going to stick to sobriety, and I'm going to stick to the path that I'm on. We have to give weed a fair shot. And I understand that. I am all about that on this channel. I am not anti-cannabis. But if we're going to talk about cannabis as either a recreational drug or as a medicine, we have to be open to the idea that every medicine has advantages and disadvantages. That is just a fact. That is the way it is. Depending on you and where you're at in your relationship with weed, your journey with weed, your medical conditions, your whole perspective on weed, you have to really assess. Why do you want to quit? Why do you use weed? Are some of the reasons that you think you're using weed for actually reasons why you want to quit? Or do the advantages of using cannabis outweigh those disadvantages? Does it help to improve your quality of life? And again, if you're only like a week into quitting or 2 weeks into quitting, you're like, Dr. Frank, I feel like crap, I'm going to go back to it. Well, you didn't really give sobriety a fair shot, okay? Like, maybe before you jump back to it, maybe you talk to your doctor. You guys can always call us here at Addiction Mindset Recovery Coaching if you're in this position and you need help making this a decision. We're happy to walk you through this. And we just got to really look at this from, the big picture. The big picture. But if you've quit smoking weed and you're feeling good and your life is in a much better direction, like mine went when I quit, all the more power to you. Keep going with it. And on the flip side, if you quit smoking weed and you've realized you have some weird underlying medical condition and weed was really helping you and you go back to it and your life is doing better with weed, all the more power to you too. We don't judge here, okay? We just try and help people figure out where they're at with their relationship with cannabis. I got addicted and really screwed up a lot of things in my life because of it. And I'm much better off without it. That does not mean that everyone is better off without it. There's a lot of people who might be better off with it. Who knows? All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Why don't you follow me where I talk a little bit about my toxic relationship with weed?